What's going on, everyone? My name's Mac, coming to you guys with another video. Um, Today we have a couple fucking idiots here we need to talk about, and I'm gonna tell you why they're fucking idiots. So, I'm in a group chat here, and this guy posts this picture. One child dies every 10 seconds from hunger. 9 million people die annually from hunger, despite the fact that enough food is produced to feed the world. So, and then it says about one third of all food for human consumption is lost or wasted. Okay, well, you know, he says a little bit under it, but I'll go ahead and read what I said first, which is the response under his. I say, you'd think people born in those types of countries would realize it's immoral to put a child in those conditions, but their IQ is not sufficient enough to have a thought even remotely close to that. So they pump the kids out without thinking first, which is really what's happening, right? Um, you see, when you put someone in a condition that would have been better to have not even been in, than had being been in or whatever, that's immoral. It's just simple logic. It's just wrong to do that, right? I mean, you could just think of any random example. It's wrong to do things, that are bad to people that exist. So of course it's wrong to put someone in a position that is bad on purpose, right? That's just it's simple logic. It's not even the thing about it is it's not even confusing. It's not even confusing. So there's no reason. It's just they're not the reason people say bullshit to this kind of response has nothing to do with confusion because it's impossible to be confused. It's simple logic and math. It's like basically math. It's like 1 + 1 = 2, right? So it's just exactly that. Um, it really is true that if you're in a shithole and you have the option to put someone there or not put someone there with you, that it's morally correct to not put someone there. It's just that simple. There's nothing else to say about it, right? So anyway, but that's just what I said here, and I'll just go ahead and read you some of the shit that these people say. And mind you, these are right wingers. Like these are people that, they think it'd have been better if Germany had won the war type of people. So like these people are as far right as it get. Well, I'll say they're pretty far right, okay? And yet it makes no sense that this video is really here to highlight that they're just as bad as leftists. Really is what it is. There's no fucking difference. There's no difference. He says, "Wow, I do not care." That was the original thing he said. So first off, what does that say about you? I know it might seem as if it's an edgy take, but what does that say about you as a person that you don't care that people are starving? Now, it's one thing. I respect the honesty because, to be fair, I don't care either. But it's not a good look. You don't have to just give an edgy take every time. The problem is with these fucking people, especially Zoomers, these young fucking kids, is that they are so used to living in the virtual world. They're so disconnected from everything. The thing is, we just see those letters and numbers on a screen. One child dies every 10 seconds from hunger. And that's just more fucking words to us. It's just more words. It's not, we don't actually think for 1 second, like, of what the kid looks like or what the pain the kid went through. Um, or he says he doesn't care in the sense that he's thinking of himself. He doesn't actually give a fuck because he can't attach it to his own experience. He's too disconnected from it, and he doesn't actually see or feel the pain that those children go through, so he just doesn't care, right? But I mean, I'm not really complaining about this part because I don't care either, but it's just a point that, like, not every you don't have to be edgy at all times, I guess that's just one side point. But anyway, perhaps I'm being hypercritical over that. The real part that is bad is what this guy says. It's a different guy from the original guy who posted the pic. He says, "Nice try, nihilist." So, these are these people that think they're so above everyone because, they think there's a point to life and that, it's all worth it and blah, blah, blah. Just the stupid bullshit. They think there's a reason for being here. These are just people who are delusional. He says, I respond. I say, well, what they're doing is obviously evil, right? Nobody would say the life of a starving child is beautiful. without doing mental gymnastics. And he says, I'm not saying it's beautiful. I said, he said, he said, I'm not saying it's beautiful. I say, it's not even close to moral, right? So it's like, it's actually the opposite. You can't even frame it as moral, right? If you're going to put a kid here and it's just going to starve, you're fucking evil. Like, it's just that simple. There's nothing else to say about the topic. And these people never refute my points, ever. They just spout bullshit that has nothing to do with my arguments. So then he says, it's life, and life has been a misery for 99.99% of people for 99.99% of human history. What he really means is it's been absolute hell for 100% of people who have ever lived. That's what he means. He means 100%, 100%. What he really means is life is hell for everyone, right? So we can agree on that basic premise, right? So it's really odd to me that he can agree life is hell, yet still believe it's moral to put people here. That's a very odd thing. And he says, and that talks of yours is just playing into the Jewish hands of not having white babies. Oh, so look at that. Look at it. So here we have a fucking retard who bases his morals based on his favorite flavor of the month propaganda that he fell for. Also, it's a stupid-ass argument as a whole, and I get into that here. It says, I say, it needs to be said that children do not choose to be put in those conditions, and those conditions are worse than had just never been existing. Constantly sick from no medicine or food. The people are violent and abusive. You wouldn't put someone there unless you were either 1, not thinking or using your brain, or 2, completely evil. So, that's really what is going on. Damn, I'm losing my voice again. I've been losing my voice when recording these. I'm going to try to see if it goes away while recording this. I say, so yeah, that was like my original premise, my original argument. And then here to the Jewish hands of not having white babies, this claim. I say, haha, I mean, I see what you mean. The things I'm saying aren't in alignment with your preferred propaganda, so therefore I shouldn't spout them. But are they not true? Where is your basic human empathy? So it's exactly that, right? The truth isn't in alignment with his favorite propaganda, so it's not true anymore. He stops thinking because, you know, this doesn't, you know, what about this? What about the white babies? You gotta realize that has nothing to do with the topic at all. He just brings in, they just bring that shit into everything, you know. They bring that shit into everything. These people refuse to accept the black pill or any type of truths of life because of their favorite propaganda. See, me, I see the logic in the propaganda, but I accept the truth first. And I willingly decide, well, yeah, you're right. You know, maybe I could have kids just to benefit the white race. I could. But I'm not that stupid to think that that's the only that's the only variable, or that variable matters. I know it's just propaganda. You see, that's propaganda to me first, right? Which goes under the truth, right? But for them, the truth is, oh, those black pills. Those black pills. Oh. You know, the truth to them is something they don't want. That's secondary to them. It's not top priority. So yeah, that's basically what I said to him, and he said, I'm just stating my opinion against yours. That's not really what this is, but and that has nothing to do with anything. He said, life is hard. Deal with it. It's supposed to be like this. I said, and then he says, they always say this here. Well, if you're afraid of it, then kill yourself. That'd save your future kids from being born. They always say this. Like I don't condone suicide. Like, I'm 100% for suicide. I don't give a fuck. I actually support it. I'm not actually. It's not that I don't care. I'm actually for it. Like, I support it. Like, if someone comes to me and says they want to do that, I'm all for it. But they say that as if that's a counter argument to the things being said here. You see, that's not refuting my fucking point. That it's immoral to put a kid in a starving situation, right? They never refute that. They just say other bullshit. And this is it right here. This part where he says, life is hard. Deal with it. It's supposed to be like this. This is the most idiotic statement of them all. This is really getting at the root of the hypocrisy and the lack of seeing the truth of everything there is to talk about. And this is my response right here. I say, right. So the suffering of life is just some trivial thing. It's no big deal. Shrug it off, right? So that's really where this argument is. And he could try to say it's something else or bring it into a different direction, but that's the direction of which where this argument takes place. Is the fact that he thinks life is hard and that doesn't matter, or that there is massive endless suffering in life and that just doesn't matter. That it could just be shrugged off. That makes no fucking sense, right? At that point, you're not being logical to the idea that suffering could be so surmountable that it had been better to not experience it, right? Not to mention these people agree with that too. He admits life is hell. He admits it's life is hell for everyone. So, but he just won't admit that it had been better to not experience the hell. That's how fucking trauma bonded these people are to life. So, here he says, indeed. So right there, he's confirming the fact that he thinks the suffering of life is just some trivial thing. He thinks kids starving to death is a trivial thing. So they're completely illogical. You know, it's like saying, I don't know, the sky isn't blue or whatever the fuck. Or to say, I don't know. It's basic. It's obvious. You know, to deny this requires mental gymnastics. To say that a child starving is just trivial, that's what I say. I said you're doing mental gymnastics or refusal to look at the truth, that it's a net negative. How is a starving child just trivial? Everything's just trivial to you guys. No big deal. So that's not logic. You don't say a child starving is just trivial and that's not a big deal. It's hell. It's complete hell. It's something you would wish or wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. If you were fucking evil, which apparently these people are, right? So I say, tell me, what living conditions are hellish enough for you to say, okay, it had been better to not be born? And of course, they never give any. Because they agree with me, they just are putting their head in the sand. You know, you can't disagree with basic logic. The fact that a child starving is not just a trivial thing is basic logic, right? So obviously, they have two choices to either say, yes, you're right, which is really bad for their fucking propaganda that they believe in, or just to put their head in the sand and just say la 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 and just think with their genes. So I say at least give me some sense of rationality. This doesn't even talk about animals either and the endless suffering they go through. You know, think about the suffering we put animals through. You know, fucking, in all these farms and shit. It's hell. As if life wasn't hell just for the people here. It's hell for the animals too, right? So I said, yeah, this is an endless suffering planet over and over again. He says, not my problem what a Nigerian feels. I'm not a Nigerian child or Nigerian. So I say, right. So that makes it not a problem because it's outside your experience. Relieving suffering of beings in your environment is not a concern to you. So that just kind of tells you everything you need to know about them, right? So, like, you know, not his problem, guys. Just another edgy take. It doesn't matter because he's not them. You know, the suffering doesn't exist because he's not the one suffering. But yet, if he has a stomach ache or a headache or we chop his limbs off, he'll suddenly say this matters, right? It don't matter then, but it doesn't matter when it happens to someone else. Zero ability to think outside of themselves. Complete narcissist, like a woman. And yeah, so there's just nothing going on here. These people are fucking pathetic. I say, well, considering we agree on the same premise, there's no gymnastics taking place. We just disagree on its triviality. Because they try to say, you know, what I'm saying is bullshit. I'm just saying, look, there's nothing taking place on my end. You agreed with my premise that life is complete hell for everyone that's ever existed. He said that 99.99%. Why does he say that? What he really means is it's hell for everyone. So, yeah, and I just say, look, the suffering of humans and animals on this planet is not just trivial. It's not one bit, right? Certain things are trivial, you know. I don't know, whether I take a piss right now or 3 minutes from now, that's trivial, right? But you know, the fact that I'm required to piss 24/7 Yeah, the fact that, I'm a slave to having to piss, the fact that I can't choose to piss or not, the fact that my biology makes me fucking piss. As an individual, I am a slave to pissing. That's not trivial. That's bullshit, right? The fact that I'm a slave to food, that's bullshit. That's not trivial. The fact that I have to eat, the fact that I have to breathe, the fact that, I have to make money, these things are all slavery. You're a slave to hunger. You're a slave to sleep. You're a slave to money. Those aren't trivial things. You're stuck in this bitch like that. There's no getting out. That's not trivial. That's complete and relentless slavery from your genes to make you that way. They made you that way, and there's nothing you can do. So I say, at least my living conditions are some of the best in history, except for the food in America being basically poison. But animals locked in cages and humans starving, nobody should claim that's trivial, right? And it's not. It's obviously not, right? There's nothing that anyone could ever say to make that a non-trivial thing. It's complete hell what they go through, right? So it's only trivial to them because they're not them and they only think about themselves. So what does that tell you about them? Are these moral people? No, they're not moral people. They're not any better than leftists or anything else or anyone else, right? They're all the fucking same. That's why we call them the masses. We don't call them leftists or right wingers or extremists or any of that anymore. They're called the masses because the masses are fucking evil with zero empathy. That's the number one characteristic of the masses. It's not that they're retarded. It's that they lack any empathy or a shred of empathy at all, right? I don't believe that, being a sadist is a good thing. Getting rid of why should people optimize to not be sensitive, right? I don't want to have to not be sensitive in order to get by in this world. It seems like they just condone being a sadist. Oh yeah, let's just make them starve. These are people who would, you know, these people would do a lot worse things if they could. Of course they would, right? This is why they need so many rules. This is why schools have so many rules. Chew gum, can't have headphones in, can't do this, can't do that. The reason they have that many rules is because the masses are like this. If they don't make rules like this, you see what they do. They would do unbelievable shit to other people. Of course, they would you know, have actual slaves and put people in as brutal conditions as possible and this, that, and the other thing. Because they have no empathy. None. And so here's what he thinks the disagreement is. He says, looks like we're disagreeing on one core thing. It's individualism versus collectivism. Right? So he's outright saying here, my life isn't mine alone. Half of it belongs to my ancestors. So he's a collectivist. He's a leftist. They're the same. There's no difference between a leftist collectivist and a right wing collectivist. They're both fucking retarded, right? This is their planet, and this is why they have so many rules, and this is why none of what they do makes sense because they have zero individualism and they think with their genes, as I said earlier. I said, and this is the thing that pissed them all off, all these collectivist right wingers who are as bad as leftists. I say, yeah, I don't owe shit to those people, which is true. I don't owe. What the fuck do I owe to my ancestors? This is something I really got to rant about. What the fuck do I owe them? Seriously. Did they think of me when they busted a nut? No. They were just horny. They were plagued. And you're also a slave to that too. You're a slave to your sexual drive. You know? So these people are just that's like I owe it to my aunt. Are you fucking kidding me? I owe it to my ancestors for busting a nut. That's like me saying that's like praising someone for eating food or taking a shit. Are you fucking stupid? These people can't help the fact that they wanted to fuck. They just wanted to fuck. They were thinking of themselves when they fucked too. They weren't thinking of me. So not only were they not thinking of me, they did something that's so it's not even a choice actually. There's no free will in it. They did something they were a slave to. It's like the opposite. You see, like when someone goes out of their way to learn something they don't have to learn, and they spend 5 fucking years perfecting it, and what they produced is something beautiful. Yeah, maybe then you praise them. But when someone takes a shit, you don't praise them. You don't say, good job, coworker, you just took a shit. No one fucking says that. because they're a slave to it. It doesn't take skill. They had to do it. They didn't even choose to do it. They had to do it. These people are slaves to the sexual drive, right? So now the point is, you're not a slave to producing children. You're not. You can actually have an orgasm without having a child, especially considering modern day there's contraceptives, and the left pushes for abortion, and every bitch is on birth control. So there's just no excuses for having kids. You could, with the modern day birth control, you could bust a nut inside her every fucking time for 5-10 years straight and never get her pregnant. The shit is 100%. The only reason they say 99% is because they have to legally. It's actually 100%, and the reason it has to be that way is because of feminism, right? They need women to have control over their births. It's just there's no other way feminism could operate if birth controls weren't 100% effective. It's manufactured that way for a fucking reason. So having kids nowadays is a choice. And by the way, they do give the shit out for fucking free. They give it out in candy, even to poor people. The girl I'm with right now was on Medicaid basically because her parents were dirt fucking poor. She got the worst fucking health insurance. You go to the bottom of the barrel, like poorest fucking health place where like they can bear, like, I don't know, it just literally looks like shit. It's in a rundown area, blah blah blah. Like it's just pathetic. They barely give you anything, and they still give birth control out like candy. Flawless, perfect birth control out like candy. So yes, having a child is a fucking choice, but yeah, the crave to have a child is not, right? So it does not fucking make sense that you're gonna pat someone on the back, or let alone your ancestors on the back, for having a kid, especially when back then they didn't even have contraceptives. So they literally couldn't control their sexual drives, but they also couldn't control having kids. So they actually did not fucking choose to have you at all. You are the last thing they were thinking about when they got the nut off. I hate to break that to you. You are fucking irrelevant. They didn't think about you at all. So, but not only that, I think in order for them to believe their delusions, they have to continue to believe these things. Or in order to believe this worldview, they have to believe that their ancestors cared. So, of course, they're going to dismiss this shit off too. Okay? So, anyway, they laugh at the fact that I say, yeah, I don't owe shit to those people. He says, we do not operate on the same planes. This discussion is useless and won't get us anywhere. Because I said that I don't owe shit to my ancestors. We are suddenly, he analyzes me and says I'm a different specimen from him. Yeah, I am. I am a different specimen. I'm glad you realize that I'm not a groupthink retard. I'm glad you realized that. And you also, yeah, you are right that that it won't get us anywhere. Then he says, don't forget to tell your mom you hate her for giving birth to you. So this is another thing the masses have. They worship women. Of course, the first thing he goes to is some woman worshipping bullshit. He's such a beta cuck. Don't forget to tell your mom. Don't forget to tell your mom. All these people think about is worshiping women, as if it fucking matters what they think at all. At all. I don't give a fuck. I've said this a million times. I don't give a fuck what any woman thinks. Period. Let alone my mom. And by the way, my mom does know I hate her for giving birth to me. I've told her. It's fucking immoral. I tell her all the fucking time. I tell her all the time. That doesn't mean I don't, that doesn't mean I don't kick it with her and that she's not family and blah, blah, blah. But she knows it's fucking bullshit. I told her it's immoral. So, yeah, and it's an unforgivable sin, blah, blah, blah. But still, like, it is what it is. What can I do? I'm not autistic enough to bring it up every conversation is my point. But she fucking knows. She knows. And honestly, this isn't even that hot of a take, If someone puts you in a shitty position, it's wrong. It's that simple, If you were drowning and you take people down with you, that's wrong. It's simple. It's funny, the logic applies everywhere else, but when it comes to this shit, their brain just stops working. This is the typical NPC problem. Their brain stops working when it's convenient for them in their worldviews. The second that it goes against their worldviews, they have to stop being logical. Zero fucking brains at all. So I said, yeah, I mean, let's say they were thinking of me when they had kids. They weren't. I'm back to talking about the ancestors here. I still don't believe putting another person in a bad situation is a gift, right? You said life has been misery for everyone who's ever existed. The first thing you do, if you have even a shred of empathy, is say, okay, let me make sure absolutely to not put anyone else in this shitty spot with me. That's really what's taking place, okay? The very first thing you do is, okay, Let me make sure not to put anyone else here. Then let me see if I can improve my conditions, right? But they don't do that. They're like, they will actually, this is the thing about having children, is people have them to improve their conditions. They have kids because they need something to do to relinquish boredom, and then they put the kids to slavery. They make them fucking do chores for them. It's totally evil. It's so fucking wrong. So he says here, your doomer black pills talks will fall on deaf ears here, bro. So a concoction of saying, yeah, I'll never digest the truth. I say, yeah, I mean, I get it, white race and all that. I think those collectivist thoughts daily as well, but I won't turn my head on reality, right? So the difference between me and him is I consider the collectivist side, but I stay true to the individual side. He is just a fucking idiot collectivist who has zero consideration for individualism or the person that he's having the kid for. He doesn't think about the fucker at all. He has the kid for his ancestors, not even for himself. Yeah, it really is for himself because he likes the way it makes him feel to act within accordance with. Basically, he likes it when the genes reward him. When he acts in accordance with his genes, the genes reward him, so that feels good. So he really does it for himself, but he's also really doing it because the genes are rewarding him for that thing. So he's really doing it for the genes. So he's doing it for the collective, which he's really doing for himself. He does not do it for the fucking kid at all. So zero empathy for the kid. That is what I'm saying. None. Zero empathy at all. Zero. None. Fucking none. Like, at all. Like, none. No empathy. Totally evil. The opposite of moral. It's fucking insane. This is your species. This is the species you guys sit alongside. This is the planet of the apes we live on. Complete demonic. Completely demonic. Okay, so here I say, he said, I'll ask you just 2 questions. Or then he asked me my age and my location. Like that fucking matters. And then he seems to think that in 2 years I'll have a different opinion. This is of the opinion that, I'm guessing, he hasn't said this, but probably that, as I get older, I'll realize the suffering was all worth it. Or some bullshit. They always think, that's not really an argument. It's not an argument. 0 responses to anything I've said. The whole time he didn't respond to a single thing about the fact that a starving child is not trivial. They won't respond to it. They turn their head the other way. They literally refuse to admit the fact that having a kid in a starving situation or any situation where this kid is going to be living in a hellish position, even in developed countries it's hell. You put your kids here, they go through fucking 17,000 hours of indoctrination in school, only for the government, or basically only for everyone to gaslight them into going to college because they say that's the only thing that matters, in which most people are going to fall for. Then they go to college and they're paying for nothing. They're getting scammed. They're paying to and further be enslaved through wage slavery, which they cannot choose to not need money because they need money, because the whole system is based around money. So they're a slave through money, and they go through debt to be. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is just, it couldn't get worse. You can't even make the shit up in a movie. It couldn't get worse in a movie. Life is a more, it's like life is more of a fiction than fiction is. You can't write the shit that happens here. You can't. Fiction is fucking boring. If you want real hell, you go here. You go to this place. You can't make this shit up. So after that, he says, great, come back in 2 years and I'll hear if you change your opinions. Like, I'm supposed to fucking report to him? Like, he's the authority? Like, I'm supposed to report to the collective? Oh, let's see if the collective respects me again when somehow I'll be less individualistic. Really what he means is I'll be less empathetic and I'll consider the pain and suffering of my future child even less. Maybe I'll become more demonic, just like him. So I say nice, but still 0 validating the idea that starving is just some trivial thing. Yeah, I just basically go on about the same shit. And then there's one last part I want to get to because the rest of that's just not important. Then the other guy comes in, a new guy. And this is just the same bullshit, the same fucking stupid shit. He said, damn, they really got you. Talking about the Jews. Because they all think that if Germany had won the war, the world would be so better, yet they're the fucking same as the people who run the shit now. They're just as unempathetic. They're just as evil. They take free speech all the same. They'd fucking, they would commit crimes against humanity all the same. They'd enslave people all the same. Nothing would be fucking different if these people were in charge. So I'm totally black pilled on the right wing at this point. The fact that they can't see past basic truth, I don't know. I give them credit for so many things, but then they can't see basic truth. So now I just don't even believe that they're any different from leftists. And plus, he's arguing a collectivist stance. So if collectivism is the problem, and you're just a collectivist but with different political views, you're a maggot the same way everyone else is, the same way the left is. I have no respect. It's done. So then I say, I said, I can think of a lot of reasons to have kids. And by the way, guys, I can think of a lot of reasons to have kids. I say, but not one of them is because I owe it to my ancestors. Not fucking one. Not one. I literally can't think of one reason to owe it to my ancestors. You wouldn't praise a modern day person for doing, for going to work or breathing or taking a shit. Then why would I praise my ancestors for busting a nut? I don't. I literally do not. That's hilarious. It's a hilarious premise. So he says, and then here he green texts me. I imagine the unbreakable chain to be of no importance. Yeah, the unbreakable chain. So clearly these people aren't human. When I say they're not human, I mean in the sense that they literally are the gene. This is the genes talking. There's not actually a person there. I'm talking to the DNA itself. I'm talking to the genetic code itself. Like through the person, I'm literally talking to the fucking code. There's not even a person in here. I am so alone. It's like being trapped on a planet, and it's even worse because it appears as if you're not alone, but you're completely fucking alone. There is not even a human in there at all. He said, and this is the final comment, there's nothing else to read after this. He said, they did a number on you talking about the Jews. Dude, you are fucking pathetic. You are fucking pathetic. Really. He is pathetic. He thinks I should have kids to this is the thing. He thinks I should have kids to benefit what? Them? The species? What in the fuck? All these people do is take from me. They take. All reality has done is fucking enslave me, put me here. And also, here's the other thing too. What the fuck? I think I put that somewhere. Like, let me go read this point. It's back up at the top that I said I wouldn't go back to. I say here, yeah, right here. Tell me why I should care about my genetic code for 1 second. It doesn't care about me. It literally designed me to be disposed of after enough time because it can just live through the copies I make with my sperm. Meanwhile, I, as an individual, fucking die. So let's say I do want to stay here. Let's say the singularity comes and living conditions actually do become suitable where I say, yes, you know what? Life is actually a net positive, right? We are in the green now, where it would actually be better to exist than not exist, right? Which we are currently not in that position, right? But I'm in it for the singularity, or in the hopes that technology can grow in such a way that living conditions will become so great that life will actually be a net positive, okay? We're not there yet. A lot of people, their standards are so fucking low. If you give them fucking Fortnite and some weed with some fucking Fruit Loops or Lucky Charms, some fucking high fructose corn syrup shit, and a smartphone, they think that living conditions are suddenly suitable and life is a net positive. This is all it takes for these fucking idiots to think life is a net positive. For me, my standards are a little higher than that, you know? You can't just give me some computers and some games and a woman who's down fucking obsessed with me, cooking and cleaning on command, for me to think this life is worth it. No, that's not it. I need more. I need a singularity, guys. This isn't enough for me, okay? I know it's enough for you because you have no fucking standards, but this isn't enough for me, okay? So anyway, back to my point about the genetic code and why I shouldn't give a fuck about what it says. I say it literally designed me to be disposed of, right? Which is the case, right? I'm born, outside of all the bullshit that happens, I'm born and I die. I get disposed of. The genetic code just has me make a copy that isn't me anymore and then gets rid of me. So what the fuck is in it for me? Why should I respect that shit? Give me one answer. I shouldn't. It doesn't care about me. It didn't think about me as an individual at all. I'm gone. I'm out of this bitch. And by the way, guys, I'm out of this bitch soon. 60 years is not a long time. You fucking blink and it'll be gone. Okay? Not only am I going to die, I'm going to die soon. I mean, like, soon. This life is going to fly by. Okay? And I'm either going to hit the singularity or I'm going to be disposed of. So tell me, what's in it for me to contribute to the genetic code? Nothing. You see, the reason they shill for their ancestors is because they are the genetic code. They're not a human. They're the code itself. They're not a fucking entity. They're literally the fucking code itself. That's why they're shilling it. There's no one in there. This is a hollow. I talked basically to the wall. This would be the same as talking to the fucking wall. Or like a zombie. Like, go play zombies. Like, go play Call of Duty Zombies. That's what basically these people are. They're empty, hollow beings with zero empathy for actual individuals. Zero empathy for people who feel real pain. Because for them, of course, as the genetic code would want you to think, all the pain is worth it as the individual because we get to live on. No, you get to live on. I get to fucking die. So anyway, that's pretty much all there is to talk about. I didn't even really get to talk much about anti-natalism or all of the negative shit about the world, but because the reason, and it's sad I even have to talk about that because it's so abundant, it's so ubiquitous. He even agrees, and everyone would agree, this life is complete hell for everyone that's ever existed. The conditions are filled with nothing but pain and misery and blah blah blah. Yet, you know, I still, for some reason, have to explain to them that, or people that, and all the negative shit that goes on. But apparently starvation isn't enough, right? Torture wouldn't be enough, nothing, you know? They want you to be tortured and smile. That's it. It's like, beat your ass, they beat your ass, and then they say, why the fuck aren't you smiling, you know? Or it's like tripping someone and say, what the fuck? Like, that's them. It's like, it's even worse. They gaslight you and they make you, it's like, this life is terrible. And the thing that makes it the worst is the people around you acting like it's not, right? The only thing that can make a bad situation worse is the people around you pretending it's not bad. That is like the worst thing they can do. And yet they continue to do it. So anyway, that's just my rant about these fucking right-wingers. They're no different than leftists. They're collectivists, and they groupthink with their genetics, and they're not people. They're not human at all. There's no individual in there. There's no person, and they have no empathy. They don't care about me at all. They tell me to kill myself when I say I don't care about the collective. They hate individuals, actually. The genetic code, it's almost like they know you're not in it with them. It's like the code knows. It's like, wait a minute, we got a bug? Fuck this guy. Tell him to kill himself. That's when you know. That's when you know they're angry. They're angry. So, and again, that's where they go when they have no argument for the fact that these terrible fucking things are not just trivial. So anyway, I've talked about it all here, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and yeah, until next time.